Hi, girls, and welcome to our panel, Linguistic Diversity in Otaku Culture, a multilingual space. First, let's introduce each other so we can get started. I'll go first. I'm Sophia, and it's great to be here and have the opportunity to share this space with you.
Hello, I'm, and I'm very happy to be here with you talking about this interesting topic.
Hi everyone, my name is Yaeli. I am super excited to be here with you today.
Hello everyone, I am Lisette, and I'm so delighted to be here with you speaking of this very interesting topic.
Thank you. So, before we start talking about language, let's rewind a little bit. Do you remember how you discovered anime for the first time? Could you share with me, please?
I started with Dragon Ball Z when I was little. I was on TV all the time. I remember being completely hooked and shocked. Like this anime attracted my attention totally. Like didn't even want to miss a single episode. I remember watching this anime with my dad and my brother because my mom don't like it anime.
Well, in my case, it was different. I discovered anime in elementary school when I was 10 years. So my friend recommended me Cardcaptor Sakura, It was an incredible story because it was about a girl around my age that made magical stuff with cards.
So I began with the Studio Ghibli because my brother showed me the spirit way, and I was fascinated with the story.
Oh, I love Studio Ghibli too. It's curious, right? How such different paths led us to be part of the same community. Like, for example, some of you in TV when you were younger in elementary school, or for a friend, your brother. That's great. I think it's like super interesting how like such different experiences take us to the same place.
Yeah, this is fantastic. You they share these animes with you see in your life. And what about you girls? What are your favorite animes? Personally, mine is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood with a dog. It's an interesting anime.
Hmm, well, it's difficult for me, but I think Attack of Titans because the narrative is simple and masterful. Another one like is Kimetsu no Yaiba because the animation is different to other animes, and also the Sailor Moon and the Vision of Scaflón are so incredible, but they are very old.
Well, in my case, is Violet the Garden that won me over. Emotional story always touched my heart. That because I love the story.
Okay, so I lean more toward like science fiction with drama. So one of my favorites is Steins Gate, but I also like sometimes like a kind of like comedic kind of genres, like when you have fun, when you have drama. Violet Evergarden is a very good one, Wendy. I love it too.
Yes, I love the science fiction too, but I prefer drama or romance. But a little bit I love science fiction me too. But it's fascinating how our tastes reflect our personalities or emotion. Do you think? Like sometimes the anime we love say a lot about who we are or what we value. You, you know?
Totally. The anime we shows say a lot about us, I think.
Despite preferring different genres, we share the special connection through anime because in the end it's all come from the same place. In this case, from Japan, And even if they are different story, they have the same cultural background.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I think that's what makes this community like really special because we are all different. We all have different preferences, but we share a common interest. Okay, it's like they all come from the same place, and we are like kind of like a little bit we have things in common. So let's get started. Today we're going to dive into the fascinating world of Otaku language. How do you think this global community has managed to build its own communication system? Like there are a lot of words and terms that a lot of people that are not as connected to anime don't understand. So how do you think it came out to be like this whole thing?
Mm, I think a lot of it has to do with who communicated or social networks and platforms, sorry, like I don't know, Crunchyroll. It's on only honestly like a middle point or for abbreviation, I don't know, expression, this phrase or works, etc. And all these unique codes that only fans really get or really understand.
Exactly. And the most interesting thing is how these resources end up reinforcing our collective identity, no matter where in the world we are.
And let's forget of mixed language and cultural reference. It's like hybrid language that only we understand. So, to start, where do you think this phenomenon is stronger? I'd say on Reddit, Facebook, and to the comment sections of specialty cities.
Without a doubt, they are multilingual space where Japanese, English, and or local languages are constantly intervened. So really, there is not just a language, as Wendy said before, it's a mixture.
I think it's amazing how people from different cultures can like convert and have a common interest and develop these very particular forms of communication. Like there are a lot of Japanese words that we use when we are talking about an anime that they do have like an English or Spanish translation, but we prefer to use them in Japanese. So
Yes, totally. From there, you start hearing these terms or phrase or words like, for example, I don't know, showing lover or isekai hater, stuff that only really makes sense with our community or you context, you know.
And speaking of terms, then think we have a very marked hierarchy. Uh, when someone say an anime is good tier, we know they consider it the best of the best. Like when people in some web page choose Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood as the best anime of all the time, and I agree wholeheartedly.
totally. And sometimes like abbreviation like OP or ED, like we are talking about the endings or the openings of the animes, they are like essential for when you are talking about the songs, about the rhythm, about how it makes sense with the story. So a lot of people put a lot of importance in the songs that are related to the anime, so, to the point of having like special like terms or acronyms for those parts. So it's like our own secret code.
Um,
Yes,
I think that in this case of mention Sophie, in other contexts, or for example in Reddit, sometimes OP means original poster, but when we say this in the anime, it's like for the opening songs.
Wow, it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing these terms, Liz. And we continue with the other section, is a specific example or tense. And what about you, Japanese phrase like, for example, nani or yamate kudasai? We use them to emphasize emotions. Sometimes people or otaku community creation memes. They integrate perfectly into all conversations with your friends or other people, the different culture, different place in this conversation.
And we have terms like waifu or husband or husbando. They are key to express our emotional preference for a certain characters. For like Ren from ReZero and Levi from Attack on Titan. And that are great examples.
Yes.
Yeah, additionally, we have our own reading scale from God of Treasure with categories like S, A, B, and C tier. From God being to the top one, the best, the greatest, to trash being the worst, boring, or any other term that means it's not good.
Yes, and I think it's super interesting because I have heard those terms like S, A, B, and C tier like be used also for video games. So, and usually when we talk about like super specialized video games, we heard that they are from Japan too. So it's like kind of like a mix of communities and a mix of terminology that we can use to for both of like different, completely different communities that use the same language. And also, for example, like the term of MC or main character, it's much more common to use it than protagonist or like the principal of the story because it's shorter and we all understand it. We all know what a main character is. So an MC, when you see it written down, you know that you're talking about the protagonist of the story.
Yes.
Yeah. On forums like Reddit, the boring system is a powerful way to communicate acceptance or rejection. A comment with negative votes is a clear sign of disapproval. When someone says something negative about beloved character from an anime in a post about the anime, that comment will be downvoted to oblivion.
Yes, and also like kind of like the acceptance thing, also the analysis of OPs and EDs, like the songs, the openings and the endings of the anime. They have it's like a whole ritual that people do. Like the first episode comes out and the first thing that the people notice is the opening, for example. They have
Yeah.
like or we have our own unwritten criteria about the animation, about the rhythm, about the symbolism of the songs, and now about the symbolism of the images they put while the song is playing in the beginning of the anime. So I think that's also like really interesting, like how we put so much importance not only to the actual part of the animation, but also to all the extra accessories that they put in to the whole thing.
Yes, this is a the great conversation or this analysis you have. I have another word. It's baka. It's I think it's mean it's idiot. It's a great example because of who context is everything. It can be a mockery, a show of affection or criticism of the people. It's a good example, but it's meaning a idiot or I don't know. It's a criticism word.
Well, girls, have you noticed how the terms slice of life and okay, I think so, popularly in our cycles?
Absolutely. I have seen also like the an acronym like SOL for the for slice of life. And I love that it represents like a genre that shows like everyday life, no big conflicts, no big problems, no obstacles, like everything is super nice and relaxed. I love that sometimes it's like a kind of like a nice way to end the day.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that Iyashikei is like subgenre that focus on the emotional healing and tranquility, like a normal life that not is all the normal that we don't have problems and something like that.
Well, this is fantastic who this anime allows to disconnect for the work or the job, the school, or from daily stress. They are like calm or relaxed or bound for the soul.
So when I watch Mushishi or Natsume Junchishu, I feel an indescribable inner peace. It's a pure visual therapy.
I think it reflects like our collective need to find spaces or times to relax or have like a calming presence in we live in a very fast paced world that I think it's like a need that we have as a community to have like some place to relax and to unwind at the end of the day.
And it's curious how we all immediately identify these animes. They have distinctive aesthetic and rhythm.
It's if silly for life remind us to appreciate the small moments in life sometimes we often forget.
So, and what do you think about the chibis? They are those a tiny and adorable version of the characters.
I love them. They are like the little perfect representation of humor in the middle of a story that sometimes can be like super intense.
Yeah, TV show how animes can play with its own aesthetic convention to combine different emotion. I love series too.
Yeah, I love the series too. It's because it's interesting who a serious character like I don't know, for example, Levi for Track of Tintian becomes a reliable in his chibi version is oh my god, it's adorable.
And the chibi segments at the end of many episodes are the way to relieve the narrative tension.
I think they reflect the duality of something characteristic of the of anime. Like it can be deeply dramatic or it can be like super adorable and playful. Yes, and I think that's also like is represented in the way we express our feelings about it. Like for example, that you see in for example like you were mentioning in Reddit. In Reddit there are like a lot of like uh threads and all the storylines where they tell you like in 100 million ways what they like, what you didn't like about the about an anime, about a segment, about an or even a simple episode. Okay, and they use like all these terms like TV and kawaii and to reflect their feelings about it.
Yeah, it exists a lot of kind of terms in Reddit, like you mentioned. Like I love to use the word kawaii or something like that because I like this word. But changing the subject, have you ever identified with tsundere characters?
Sometimes because I admit it that I find it hard to express affection directly, like Taiga from Todora.
I think the interesting thing about the world tsundere is how it's in Japanese it's supposed to reflect like the human difficulty to be vulnerable and to express feelings, and that through anime it has been known to the whole world And now everyone knows it. Like everyone knows that it's someone, or not everyone, but at least someone that is still a little bit knowledgeable about anime knows that what a tsundere is. What if you call someone a tsundere, they are going to understand what you're talking about, and you're like, yes, of course, they are very cold. They don't like to reflect their emotions. So
So in that, and it's curious how this archetype has become too recognizable, even of those who are not anime fans.
I think that tsundere reflects a universal aspect. We all have layers of emotional protection, like Inuyasha from Kaome. If you know, in this anime, it's like Inuyasha is like a main character like tsundere.
yes, and I
Yes.
find it actually fascinating of how it's like a Japanese term that wasn't that I don't know if you know, but it didn't used to be related to anime. It was supposed to be like something related to describing a human behavior. So
Yes.
when they started using it in anime, like everyone started to know or notice like, oh, this character is a tsundere. So I'm gonna kind of like adapt or adopt that term into my language, even if I'm from the United States, from Europe, from Latin America. And now, like we see someone acting like certain character that we saw in an anime, and automatically in our head is like, oh, he's so tsundere or she's so tsundere.
Yes, it's fascinating. You have to find these characters. It's another example for how anime this language give us tools or results or these stems to better to understand human emotions.
Well, we talk about the senpai or kohai's relationship. In this case, the senpai or kohai dynamic is another concept we have fully adopted, right?
Totally. Like it's like it reflects like the social like hierarchies that we are present in Japanese culture. Like sometimes even right nowadays, like you can also relate it to if someone else doesn't like anime but they like K-pop, they also have like kind of like a similar um like dynamic there. Like with the like I don't remember, like it's supposed to be like Opa, Hyung and all that stuff, like honorifics that they use, so it's kind of like the same thing. And it's completely different language, completely different communities, but they are still have things in common. And sometimes like is Japan and Korea, so they're close, they're the same Asian countries. So it's natural that they have like some similar um like cultural similarities. See, but I think it's like super interesting how like us as a completely foreigners to the culture, we are very immersed in that and we understand the dynamic even if we are not actually part of it, or we haven't lived with it for our whole lives.
Yeah. The interesting thing is how these terms have transcended anime, and we know use terms for any mentor apprentice relationship. When you go, for example, to the comebacks, a lot of people say to other old person, something like that, sensei or senpai, something like that, because it's like a part of the culture of the community, in this case about the anime.
Yes, or even as a meme when someone say noticing me senpai, we all understand this reference, or the otaku community understand this reference obviously.
So it's surprising how this Japanese concept explains social dynamics that exist in all cultures.
Yes, and like I was telling you, it's like we without being Japanese, without being immersed in the culture, we have adopted these terms to express similar relationships in our context. Even if some people started using them as a joke in the beginning, now it has had a big impact in the way people in the community communicate.
It is if the language of anime gives us vocabulary from universal concepts that perhaps didn't have a name in our languages.
And the archetypes like Neko Girl or Tsundere generate their own vocabulary. We talk about the characters like Asuka from Evangelion or
And
Koneko from High School DxD, and we all understand what we are talking about.
Yeah. Have you noticed the number of specific genres we have? Terms like Iyashike describe anime that combine calm, like Natsume Yuchicho or Mushishi.
Yes. And also, like, for example, when we analyze a main character and MC, we don't just talk about their role in the story. We evaluate and we analyze if they are like badass, like another term to be like, oh, they are so amazing, like gods from Berserk, or a simple plot device. Like sometimes we call characters that have like no personality and just like something to move along the story, like Kirito from Sao. Okay, so I think also like we have like not exactly Japanese terms, but also terms that we've coined ourselves to describe characters, to describe animations, to describe the relationship, to describe the description of the story that are like very um how do I say it? Like very part so integrated in our community that everyone understands when you say something like that, even if it's not your first language or even if it wasn't in the original terminology of Japanese terms that we have for anime.
Saying like that the character is our husbando, it's a way to express emotional and aesthetic valuation that we all share.
wow, this is interesting when you transmitted or share these terms. Um, and who can we forget Japanese word like sugoi or arigato? This is a common term Japanese. You hear in the anime or otaku community. We integrate them intro or comments, creating a herby speech that only we understand.
I think terms like good tire and trash tire show how English has become our tools for evaluating content.
Yes, and using abbreviations like MC or OP simplifies communication and reflects like the global influence of English in the language.
Yes, but Japanese also played an, can I say, an important role. Obviously, greeting with the Ohayo or thank you with arigato um, connect us with the original of the our favorite content.
Eh,
And why food? The perfect combination of English and Japanese. It's a global way to express affection of preference of a character.
Yeah. Our communication system goes beyond words. It includes categories, hierarchies, and combinations that we all share.
And words like sugoi convey an enthusement, emphasize that emotion that something can be translated in other language. What Sophie mentioned before.
Yeah.
So, and calling someone husbando isn't literal. It's a way to express affection, admiration, or affinity.
Yeah, these expressions are like signals of belonging, saying that Chainsaw Man is mine or that Sting Gates is S tier. Relevant a lot about our shared criteria.
Yes, also like adopting abbreviations like MCU, ED, OP, and all these other terms that we have talk about. It's like how we have internalized a common language with diverse different cultural roots.
Yes, and I by saying nani or sugoi, we are incorporate emotion that reference that are part of our collective imagination.
So the use of waifu or husbando reflects how we build emotional relationship with the characters beyond the story.
Okay, that was amazing. So, in conclusion, to end this panel, we have created our own language that is hybrid and dynamic, and that it's like a mix of a bunch of different terms that we have heard, not only in Japanese but also in English, sometimes even in Spanish, like a lot of things that we can learn from this community.
Yeah, our linguistic codes not only streamline communication but also strengthen our group identity.
So the combination of Japanese, English, and other language generates global vocabulary that reflects the diversity of our fandom.
Yes, and the most exciting thing is that this language constantly evolves with each new anime, character, or trend, or meme, or this different emotion.
So thank you for joining us to on this journey through the multilingualism and communication reach of the anime world.
And let's remember that this language is not only unite us as a global community, but also allows us to express emotions and concepts in unique ways.
In the end, it's demonstration and how culture can transcend borders and create new forms of communication.
Exactly. Or Otaku language is living proof who started patience can bully bridge between distant cultures.
And with each new anime we watch, our vocabulary and way to expressing ourselves continue to evolve. That's the most sugoi thing.
Well, thank
Arigato.
you. Thank you,
Arigato
everyone, for
for
your
this
participation.
Arigato
session.
for this
Bye
great
bye.
conversation. Bye. Sayonara.